We will continue to teach our Tibetan children Tibetan language and history.
My brother, our brother, Lobga Rangzen, who had everything in the United States of America, so-called the most developed country in the world, he had nothing, no problem when it comes to his personal issues. And let's be, every day, every minute of our life, be voice for the voiceless.
Part of China. China out. Somebody.
Never forget. We will never forget.
Pawo, Rangzen.
We will never forget.
Pawo, Rangzen.
Shame on China.
All is watching.
Shame on China.
All is watching.
China lies.
People die.
China lies.
People die.
Stop the killing.
In fact.
Stop the genocide.
In fact.
Stop the mining.
In fact.
What do we want?
We want freedom.
What do we want?
We want freedom.
What do we want it?
Now, now.
What do we want it?
Now, now.
China out of Tibet now.
China out of Tibet now.
Basic human rights!
In Tibet.
Basic human rights!
In Tibet.
Canada don't trust communist China! Canada don't trust!
Communist China.
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 Canada stand up! Basic human rights! Canada stand up!
Basic human rights.
Canada stand up!
Basic human rights.
Stop killing!
In Tibet.
Stop killing!
In Tibet.
Stop killing!
In Tibet.
Stop cultural genocide!
In Tibet.
Stop cultural genocide!
In Tibet.
Stop killing!
In Tibet.
Stop mining!
In Tibet.
Stop mining!
In Tibet.
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans.
Peggy Dapo!
Himalayan.
Peggy Dapo!
Himalayan.
Rikshung Sangmachigi Nyamdolia Tari Tungsim Nyamge Tony Della Pevatella Tujiche Katinche and the Bugetone Tandamonze MC Sunso Nanga Injitone Tikashi Shuchoji. Friends, elders, Sangha members, youth, and friends of Tibet. Yesterday, the world watched in horror and saw as Lobga Rangzen, a 52-year-old Tibetan exile and community leader from New York, set himself on fire in front of the United Nations headquarters holding a Tibetan flag and then passed away. His name may not yet be official in every report, but his act has already become a scream that cannot be ignored, a final desperate cry for Tibet's freedom, for our identity and our right to exist as Tibetans. We gather today in front of the Chinese consulate in Toronto to say, together, we will not forget. We will not forget the countless Tibetans who have self-immolated inside Tibet over the past 2 decades. And we will not forget the human cost of China's new law on promoting ethnic unity and progress, which came into force on July 1st, 2026. This law is not about unity. It is about control. It is about erasing Tibetan language, religion, culture, and autonomy under the banner of ethnic unity. Reports from the Office of United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and from the International Campaign for Tibet tells us that this legislation contradicts the principle of ethnic autonomy guaranteed under China's own constitution, and it violates international human rights standards. It seeks to formalize and legitimize coercive policies of cultural, linguistic, and ideological assimilation in Tibet. When a government enforces such a law, it does not ask for quiet obedience. It demands silence. It demands that Tibetans stop speaking their language, stop practicing their faith freely, stop remembering their history. And when people refuse to be silenced, the state responds with surveillance, detention, and violence. Lobga Rangzen's self-immolation is a direct retaliation against this brutal reality. It is a declaration that some lives are so suffocated by oppression that the only remaining act of freedom is the most extreme one. We honor Lobga Rangzen's pain, his courage, and his final cry for freedom. His act was an extreme response to unbearable oppression. Let us make a pledge today to continue his life's purpose, to keep Tibetan alive, to speak for those who are silenced, and to fight for freedom. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has repeatedly said that he does not encourage self-immolation, that such acts require great courage, but that courage alone is not enough. We must also use wisdom. He has described these tragic incidents as understandable responses of desperation, yet has emphasized that non-violence and wisdom are our true path. To our youth, those who feel hopeless, to those who feel that nothing else works, please hear us. Your life is precious. Your voice is powerful. Your presence in this community, in your family, in our movement matters. If you are in pain, if you are angry, if you feel that the world has no answers for you, please talk to someone you trust, an elder, a friend, a counselor. Come to our organization. Come to our community events, to our meetings. Let us carry our pain together so that we do not have to carry it all alone. So today, in front of the consulate, in front of the world, we say, we stand united with our people, Tibetans all over the world. We stand with those who are suffering. Let us protest. Be powerful. Let our voices be loud. Let our actions be bold. Let us preserve our lives so that we can keep fighting for Tibet today and for as long as it takes. We are here today not only to mourn for his death, we are here to respond to the Chinese government. Your law cannot erase who we are. You can burn books, but you cannot burn memory. You can silence our voice inside Tibet, but you cannot silence the voices of Tibetans in Toronto, in Ottawa, in New York, in US, in India, and all around the world. To Canada, you are a country that claims to stand for human rights, freedom of expression, and the protection of minority cultures. We ask you to stand with us now Do not let this law become another quiet tragedy that the world ignores. We call on Canada to stand firm and without hesitation on the side of justice. This is not just a matter of principle, it is a test of moral courage and global responsibility. When the Chinese Communist government's human rights violations are allowed to continue unchecked, they do not remain isolated. They expand, they intensify, and they threaten stability for beyond their borders. Silence is not neutrality, it is complicity. It enables repression, invites further abuses, and risks a future defined by escalating conflict and global disorder. Canada must not waver. It must speak, hold Chinese government accountable, boldly, act decisively, and hold firm in defending human dignity, because failing to do so do not preserve peace, it endangers it. Let's make 3 clear commitments today. Never forget Lobga Rangzen and all those who have self-immolated. We will carry their names in our hearts and in our advocacy. We will not allow their deaths to go in vain. Never accept the erasure of Tibet. We will continue to reach into the global affairs of Canada and advocate. We will continue to teach our children Tibetan. We will continue to teach our children Tibetan language and history. We will continue to celebrate our traditions, our festivals, our Buddhism, and our identity. We will speak openly about what is happening in Tibet, especially under the new law. Never stop demanding justice. We will keep organizing protests like today. We will keep writing to our politicians, to the UN, to human rights organizations. We will keep using our voice, our platforms, and our commitments to demand that the world pay attention to Tibet. We stand here as Tibetans in Canada, as parents, as students, as elders, as volunteers, as leaders. We stand in solidarity with all oppressed people, but especially with our people in Tibet who are trying under this new law who are actually living under this new or forced assimilation. Let today not only be a day of grief, let it be a day of awakening. Let it be a day where we say clearly and together, Tibet is not a part of China. Tibetans will stand united. Our identity, our language, our faith, our history are our right, and we will never stop fighting for a free Tibet. Vigil!
Vigil! Vigil!
Alexa Gilmore, Chone, Dakamchik, Kurna So, the Lobga Rangzen Kulu Mese Tangyo Tola, the Injina Lokchawachi. My heart goes out to the Tibetan community in my riding of Parkdal High Park and around the world as you grieve the loss of a beloved community member. Lobsang Palden, widely known as Lobga Rangzen, died on July 2nd, 2026, after setting himself on fire in front of the United Nations headquarters in New York. He joins at least 171 Tibetans who have self-immolated in acts of protest against China's occupation of Tibet. He was widely known for his lifelong dedication to advocacy for Tibet. In the hours before his death, he called on Tibetans to stay committed to the struggle for Tibetan independence and to never forget their identity. I honor Lobga's life and extend my deepest condolences to his family, friends, and all those mourning his loss. Lobga's act of protest comes one day after China implemented its new law on promoting ethnic unity and progress, legislation that further intensifies Chinese state control over Tibetan identity and restrictions on Tibetan language, religion, culture, education, and freedom of expression in Tibet. This is not the first time Tibetans have felt forced to take action to draw the world's attention. Every life is precious. We need the world to act. I stand with Tibetans around the world in condemning the escalating repression inside Tibet, and I echo the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights' call for the immediate repeal of this new law. I will raise this issue with my colleagues at Queen's Park, and I call on the Canadian federal government to work alongside our international allies and press China to repeal this law, hold it accountable for its human rights violations, and address the transnational repression that Tibetans continue to face here in Canada. The international community must act with urgency in defense of the Tibetan people's fundamental rights. As Ontario continues its work to honor the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action and uphold the principles of United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, we here have a responsibility to speak out whenever Indigenous peoples' languages, cultures, and spiritual traditions are under threat, including in Tibet. To the Tibetan community, your grief is seen, and your identity and your culture are precious. And your right to self-determination must be upheld. I stand with you. Appreciate.
Vigil namzu 장매기 공개 타마 데라 숭셰게 갈롭데 만연게 여기 말에 따딩에 미만족이 제소 제도로 갈롭게 낭된주디 가리거려 숭었으나 디 남주 캠페 개첨버려자 미지 수수기 따다보라 따 sacrifice 수수기 속le 땅 마땅워라 쉐디 따닝 보네 가르슈고 예메데 장마다 주워라 따디 다가저지 그 샘플 텐제 따들이 슈샤고 드레지 시샤나 컨데 나섬 딘데 숨게 큐니 말 딘도 갈라다 디불 낭도 가리거려도 녜도도 디불 쪼숨 통 담보데라 난조스 참마데 강에 디불 가르슈 디 랑젠민 룽바쇼르 랑젠 루트 코스 숨도와 따디 나조기 큰 템바제에 말다 꼭 맞도 단다강에 직 도미 토탄 강에 바나르 키 강에 나 리숑 강에 나레 코리오 강에 나레 가리 강에 네 디기 짜와디 하르레 맞어 룽바쇼르 랑젠쇼르 따미 우투지 숨고라 알란 맞도 치미 야캅게 템바제에 인데 수수 미게 템바제에 내당 레데도 이 템po 맞에 치도 좀 우투지 제 러시고라 수수 탑주 가리시는 누구다 이네 탑주 제 김망시디 로유 통이 히스토리 통이 나저 강에들 간데서 누름데 디 템po 맞에 치도 배데 랑젠 장마 레치 숨고도 아니지 니마 델라타 니마 진짜 두베타리니 다리지 니마들 변나도 안 팀자디 자나슝게 포스여라 다 팀자디 그 팀지게 도스 모데 치세게 말해 디게 그릭션 최대 라마타미서 이다 인데 이니 딘냠도 땀 미릭 배바 미릭 라이디 배다 거를 매워서 차시 띵는 것이라래 시진핑게 예자 모두 시사게 되는 개 말해 디 자나슝 마르슈슝 지루지도 부터 십주 샤고 네 체제 뉴동 십주 샤고부터 100 years 로 야기 프로젝트를 하고 Great rejuvenation of Chinese nation like that. The moment tank shopping nation, dingo nation, chashi things are you chashi. Kale, jana khalagore. Hide your capability, bide your time. Suzu ke nubati yatang, tuzu de lian lagore. Jana shungi siju gora. This siju de khalagore. Buy your time. Suzu tuzu lengor. Tuzu khalagore tanggo lumba de choges. Tini dropa de ma piggins. Tini kori nitarga de ma tyongis. Tini pebek nangdoki. Suzu ki mid peba yimbi ki mangshi de ma kale kale subgins. 기타마 숲사와는 고 랑싱기 배바에나를 우이그레나를 참마 자난 교로 그랬어. 근데 나도 시주도 고소와 치고 봐. 수마들 공항 딱 세워 셔라송 스타팅 나도 이렇게 백해 좀 버려서. 센주 볼라 도사직도 고도는 세워 세양 송소. 다디 고나 마고 돈도 제제 되어 있는 미디고 우투 제시가 템퍼제도 거다. 도사직도 저거를 나도 갈라로 트레이닝 터치들에 나도 대 아바탕시 이 도사직도 비 차고만 간데 제게 맞다디 볼라. 미직도 직 버로 강에 용세게 초까지기 직 버로 투마도 용세게 이니 디 투마도 용에 갑라 딜라 따방디 퍼스펙티브디 ale ku mat su ta ma thu ba di la ming di ro choga chulu gi ming te phayu gi ming te rangzen do uma gi ming te di chewa na do ji yong ma kangi chung de kap la ba chi di chi ka la na da tashi do kangi chung na tashi de ngangi paru gi thu ma thu ra ma do di la ko tashi gi phayu di che che go ya do phayu gi chulu gi che che di yo ma kangi yong se ro mang zo la ga thu ma thu yong se ko ke he ma 이는 딜라 명칭부터 해주고 디미디 잡종 가래나 파유 가래나 출루 가래나 근데 지기 도는 아주 안 칸이 도저지리 걸어라 지금 문에 라렌도 도저지리 가버래 저 제주도 지기 이지지 올다 아주 지도 올다 나도 당부시오 이지 매어 근데 난 몇십 좀 차야 지기 내가 지 제거 싸면 퍼져되기 딕 꿀렁 가래나 그 잡종 가래나 그 수위 초에나 다 파주디 로게르기 때다 우투지 소라 때데 녜게 때 다른 바데 이모셔널 찬 숨메다 슈메다 녜데 녜만 텐디게 나는 탑접바지로 로고 땅한테 슈도치 로고 차서 나머지 베진 상말에 망셔지 등게 단도 로고 랭겐 키데 나게 초르서 냠뇽 나 practically I have lived through this experience 되게 공도 두순도 갈랑 앞에데 it really connected to me, resonated with me. The subuchung. Oh, the demba is so jura. But sitting as a paper number, the Mazu de Tagal de Siware, Truzo to me, Canadian show, government, media. What I want to say is the ultimate form of sacrifice that Tibetan martyr activist Lobga Rangzen, who self-immolated in front of the UN headquarters in New York yesterday. It's not a result of one day event. It's not a result of one day, one Chinese policy. It's an accumulation of years and decades of repressive, highly systematic. I say systematic because there's no one particular policy or act that can cause frustration. It's a very deep, systematic oppression. First, they took our land in 1951. They forced us to sign so-called 17-point agreement. Then they claimed that we're going to give you autonomy. We're going to take your foreign affairs, but you can have your autonomy. They gave us assurance, and we were convinced. We thought we would get autonomy to practice our language, culture, religion. The autonomy, you know. Ochigi foreign affairs the janaki manager oh why not? It's not a bad choice. In a choice we were forced to sign the agreement on gunpoint. That's something that the world forget. But today, when people talk about Tibet issue, unfortunately it's somehow limited to human rights issues, ethnic minority issues. We're not ethnic minority of China. We are distinct people with distinct language, religion, and culture. We're people of invaded land who lost our freedom. That was one of the last calls from Lobga Rangzen. He called out, he highly stressed the word independence. Regardless of what Tibetan pursue, whether it is genuine autonomy or complete independence, we Tibetans have not compromised on the history, including from His Holiness, including from Central Tibetan administration. We have not lied about our history. We have always stood on the ground that Tibet was historically not part of China. It is on Tibetan, it is up to Tibetan what we want to pursue, what we want to approach. So somehow that narrative that Tibet is part of China historically, it gives a lot of advantage to China, including taking away our language, including taking away our culture. And that's how the Ethnic Unity and Progress Law was introduced. So My dear Canadian policymakers, media, if you're watching, if you're hearing us, not everything is all right in Tibet. You might see paid bloggers showing the infrastructure development inside Tibet, but the reality is millions of Tibetan nomads are being forced to relocate. Their lands are taken away. Tibetan nuns and monks are forced to leave their monasteries. Their curriculum are being controlled, administered. The children are being indoctrinated, forced to not only learn Chinese Mandarin language, but also adapt to communist ideology. You may not see, one single group of thousands of Tibetans being beaten and killed, but it's a death by 1,000 cuts. We've been dying slowly for the last 65 years. And to China, I know you close your office at 12 p.m. today because you're chat board 50 cent army shoe leg. So oh, look at that. But I'm sure you're watching with cameras. This is not a one-day gathering of Tibetans. This is our faith, our trust, our solidarity with brothers, sisters, and our utmost respect and gratitude to Pawo Lobga Rangzen. What I want to say is, logic la sunju today kabla zomba ine pe abure ine dhutado muthe je sosongone chetbe dila to yangi changmang ogo chiga shu lagi shugumeta sosongone soso lega khare chigyo nabda soso lega khawa doge mede khare chigyo na dal soso chetbe yor soso ke lero la deshe gya yore soso chetbe lega dal pu thabo yabo je phebat seta je chawa na gyaw mu je sungudo phebat seta je chawa na ko Rangzen ki pepe tsaten pengor. Ini biji changmang azu zomji kege ordi shume. Yontona yashore. Ato ine ke susu pepe imbe tempa majaveche. Chune ona. Ta mazu gyado tujul has ke so Rangzen lo ta sa kazu ki ming kingir. Tango shimana ngeke ming mangboji tingmido. Ta ming the pasha to kunzu ki gyabjong family. Kunzu Rangzen lo ta karishur. Let's not just forget them as a number. We still know, right? Bhagat Singh, we know about their history. So we do not have shortage of Tibetan patriots who died for Tibet, but we need to know about them. History like base, it's a part of our history. So let's not forget that they died for Tibet.
송건아시 아데타리 캐나다 페리 요도 쪽이 삽주네 잘바니 하나데 시라타지라기 까메 사오 영슈낭소 디인등어도 조조 말아서 계제 파오 로가랑젤라기 시잼디 가리샤요바디 켄고에디 항상 계신 부착이 요래 개장 아주 남사 토격하게 돼 존저랑제 라인스키 코디체 저거 제가 상매 잡슈제 가지 주들링랑 아주데 좀 최면벨람 슈베갑라 아니 당나시 코디 소종기 단다 지술 거기 송소 로가라 랑솔로 당베갑라 페숑라니 갑데 마르다스 페숑라게 모고게기요 마르다스 으벨람랑 모고게기요 마르다스 라 수칸질 모고게기요 마르간저 상만냠 도르루신 데고르신 송요다스 라이 딘 남야 남아소게 투나라 마제와 나이데 패키지 부레 라 딘도 좀 베바지 임베차네 마란조 페랑제 상만 상경 임바디 사원이네 제메바다 수비야 메바게 덴바지 임바디 캥기요 카니 시기요 데네 로종 가준난기요 와 상매가 럽존난 고기요래 럽존난 바이나니 송토르와 잠불이라 다 당당하라서 나와라 인진당 대비지 되는데요래 라 Tibet was never a part of China since antiquity like 투지 시디 로로나 라 마라이나 럽존 체데 체시바 이디가라 쇼란 직동 사스도 탄다 쇼란 시가 사스 메실레 디 인지미지 넘버 속에 로로나 로네 아니 미만 송로나 오멜람다고 차샤웨나 게체스라 오멜람다고 차샤웨나 단다 야나 쇼라 제주 표시용게 오멜람기 카데지 푸니샤 요래 디 쇼랑 찍다 패러그래프 찍 말이 라 디 쇼랑 망부 예베게 팀다 템베기 이자지레 롭존나 라 애니디니 까메 수기 카린낭 베네 디게 요래 디 백해첨부레 소소 롭존 마낭네 애니 찍다면데 셰데와 난 가서 뇌고 요래 나랑서 게제 바오 로갈라다 쳔베 상마기 둘람니 가서 슈두고 요 말이 가서 랭게디 키투고 요 말이 디지 제주 중에 청소 슈도 청소 엔디네 데 나랑서 게제 바오 Rangzen langaji shejimdi nyechik lo choji chidang nga de ngaranzu de Canada nal dewe ki pemi sangme ki sab shu che ngazu de jagdam jitam yore sak shokal de diji loya gi lenge ni cha de ye yeba ine tanda sherabla gi shejimdi kyusi songsu di kongi karis songo di cheman cheshi gi shejimdi nge de lo choji namado chawa chage yugire 공개 mewa shu wa ngaranzu nimagi chawa ji le kitu ra ngaranzu geje pawo tanda nyejagi ta ngazu lola do chashna sosorangi kusula sosorangi kusu cheme pune 차와라 니치 두면나 차와 곰투고요 나가주 님에게 차와 뜻이 곰고시기로 와 디인데서 방아 시점들 놓셔버 지시 남아서 곰고시기 공기 송야라 갸나 공제 표미리 삼의 동교체도 레구 배신 여버래 표낭라 쇼기 표미솔 강야 쇼규메 학삼 남다기 소수 소수 깨다 이게 최다 릭숑 매냠 공배 냠발라소 난규 한 레버레도 대임배 균제 대임배 균제 라테네 슈규 강야메 토지체 셰 슈규당 셰 삼주 강야 슈규 매제 슈규인 타 nganzo zenju nangdo döngen sol shugyu shigla miri shigi tabzu che shide tang kangyang cha megwe beto ne ragi mare terden zenju nangdo döngen sol shukmang zam gyagodu che shugyu yin nganzo mangzo di jinor khonsa gyamgun chenpucho 파과 지레스기 망조 첸데 나고테 베 메시베 카딘 쳔부레 메규니기 조송 카야 동 메고발 토네 망조 말낭양 만조 메규 셰 야피버레 히나야 진노 공사겸그 쳔부초기 망조 첸데시 낭샤 여버레 망조 나와 대낭 대낭로라 낭진 고유체도 말해 대표 메리기 체도 표 개갑기 체도 야르게시 조톰나 사발도 겨울은 부채 뭐마 가래송여 버래 치게 유럽 라 되게이나 믹세기 디칼로 디캐나다 대와 가도 쳔버서이나 아리데 캐나다라 되게이나 강바시다 랑고시여나 당가 딕소 체네 이나 제네 대바이나 샴데르다 켄조 창마 베메리기 딘잡인다 대인두 베메리기 체도 내가 내고버다 베메리기 체도 강이 갭고버다 송샤 여버래 대대사 겨울음부채 송도그 말해 강이세나 진호고사 겸군 전부 초기 미리 까나메벌 잠링들 용수조바 출루 용수조바 미리 용수조바 독자 지지 자교당 잠링 시대 내교체도 차례 낭대배 상계 시래 간조 상계 말에 간조 셈제래 낭진 괴고나 할레바도 가 할레바도가 제송샤라 낭진 최고는 간조 할레바도아스 대인도 마옹바 쿠킹 투제시 데 Chale naya shukche nangro nang she nge bögü shugyu yin. Kang yi shu na kesi nye. Legu she nan jin shi pewa yin na. Teni nga la sagyu mara, nga la kungyu mara, nga dongen che ne marada. Nge gegab di che do pegi yobare. Pö gegab ki che do pegi yobare da. Pö gegab di che do peshi yodu. Pö gegab de la kang yobate tsangma mu tudu. Che gobare da. 대신 양행기 맹토네 대다 삼조 미롱와다 양행 슈나 니 레바 슈바tar기 졸라 조고바레 만솔 메사 형수 조바 가르치네 총바레 랑제 메베 균제 랑제 슈르베 균제라 때네 총바레 만솔 랑제 라바이나 만솔 창마 만솔라 창마 여바레 될때 랑젠기 체도 상매 깔레 야고바레 제다 상매 모투네 깔레 갸브로 낭 셰슈규이 페랑제게로스 도시제 셰젬 낭페샤
China out of Tibet now!
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 Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Today, Injinala Tsikaji Shuchobachi. Right here on the 1st of July, I was here on the stage here and I talked about the ethnic law. And I did say very clearly that this so-called ethnic unity law, ethnic unity in progress law, is neither ethnic unity, not a progress, not nothing. It's just a forced assimilation. Our CDAO president has spoke widely this morning, so I will not repeat. Here on this day, I will at least say that whatever we said on 1st of July all over the world, it is so clear now with this tragic sacrifice by our brother Lobga Rangzen in New York outside United Nations headquarters. This was a plea of desperation. When we Tibetans all over the world spoke against the ethnic unity law, the mainstream media did not cover us. That is what you do, media. When you just pick up some controversial stuff, just go with it, see where your business are, and then rest. This is what happens when journalism don't do what they are supposed to do. In desperation, my brother, our brother, Lobga Rangzen, who had everything in the United States of America, so-called the most developed country in the world, he had nothing, no problem when it comes to his personal issues. But he could not. He could not breathe peace. He could not stay in peace. He could not forget. He could not erase what all the Tibetans in Tibet are going through. He has not just committed this tremendous sacrifice, he has been a steadfast advocate for the Tibetan cause all his life, even before coming to the United States of America. And even after coming to the United States of America, he had everything. He did not stop there. He went every protest, every rally, every occasion where he could speak for Tibet. This is what you do, journalists, I'll say again, politicians, the world leaders, when you do not do what you are supposed to do. I'm going to read the press release that Tibetans all over Canada has released. Tibetan Canadians mourn the tragic death of Tibetan advocate Martyr Lobsang Palden, alias Lobga Rangzen, at the United Nations, and renew calls for the urgent repeal of China's ethnic unity and progress law. The Tibetan community across Canada mourns with profound sorrow the tragic death of Tibetan activist Lobga Rangzen, who passed away following a self-immolation outside the United Nations headquarters in New York City on July 2nd, 2026, just yesterday afternoon, in the evening at 5:30. We are deeply saddened by this devastating loss. In a final video message recorded shortly after his passing, Lobga Rangzen made it clear that his ultimate sacrifice was undertaken in relation to the Tibetan national cause. He called upon Tibetans to remain united in their struggle, stating that the loss of Tibet's independence is the root of all our problems, and urged continued commitment to the Tibetan national cause. While we honor his courage and unwavering devotion, we join the Central Tibetan administration in reaffirming that human life is precious, especially when it is a Tibetan life, because we are not many, and must be preserved. Human life must be preserved to sustain the long-term struggle of Tibet. We urgently appeal to all Tibetans everywhere to cherish life, even in the face of immense suffering and repression. Lobga Rangzen's passing comes amid grave and escalating concerns over the situation inside Tibet, including the implementation of the People's Republic of China's ethnic unity and progress law on July 1st. This legislation has been widely reported as further entrenching policies of forced assimilation, including restriction of Tibetan language, religion, cultural expression, and Tibetan identity. Lobga was the first known self-immolation by a Tibetan in the Western world. But since 2009, more than 160 Tibetans have self-immolated inside Tibet, with some cases reported also in exile communities. And that began with the first recorded protest by monk Taipei in Amdo, Tibet. That was the first recorded. We don't know how much unrecorded sacrifices have been made. These acts reflect the depth of despair and urgency felt by Tibetans under ongoing repression for the decades. We recognize that Lobga Rangzen joins those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to draw global attention to the ongoing crisis facing the Tibetan people under the policies of the People's Republic of China. These policies continue to contribute to a deep and systematic erosion of Tibetan identity, language, culture, and freedom. We extend our deepest condolences to Lobga Rangzen's family, friends, and the entire Tibetan community worldwide. In solidarity, we solemnly pledge that we will carry the spirit of the sacrifices in our hearts and work relentlessly to ensure that they are not in vain. We urgently call upon the United Nations, the world governments, parliamentarians, and international human rights institutions to recognize the severity of the crisis in Tibet, to speak with moral clarity and take meaningful action. We also call on the government of People's Republic of China, whose consulate is just behind us here, to end policies of forced assimilation, respect the fundamental rights of the Tibetan people, and engage in genuine dialogue towards a peaceful resolution of the Tibet issue. We Tibetans are peaceful people. We are a nation. We cannot stand what you are doing today in our country and you have been doing for decades. And since this is a press release, we also informed the entire media that Tibetan Canadians will organize a mass peaceful protest today in front of the Chinese consulate, 240 St. Joe Street, Toronto, from 1 to 3 p.m. I don't see any national media here. I don't see any mass media people here. If you're here, please feel free to come and interview us. Try to understand why we are here, what happened, what is happening in Tibet. Make sure you do that. But today, we don't have to depend just on mass media. Today is the age of social media. So, Chinese government, you cannot silence the social media. You might be able to silence the social media in China, even that you're not able to do it. People have found ways to speak to the world what is happening. So, you are going weaker, we are going stronger. Thanks to the internet, thanks to the social media, and make sure everybody who are on social media share, speak, talk, and please work for Tibet in all forms. At last, may I pray that Lobga Rangzen's sacrifice awaken the conscience of the world. May compassion prevail over repression. And may the Tibetan people one day, very soon, live in freedom, dignity, and the right to determine our own future in our own homeland. Thank you very much. Before I give the mic away, I would like to thank our first Tibetan MPP, Pudila Karbuche, for making it possible to have a Tibetan Heritage Month in Ontario. Today is the third day of Tibetan Heritage Month. Thanks to Pudila's work, thanks to the government of Ontario, we have that in our hand. Let's use it, Tibetans. It is very important to dance. It is very important to preserve the culture. It is beautiful to see hundreds and sometimes thousands of young Tibetans joining our Gorshe. It is wonderful. Let's do more than that. Let's do more than that. Let's tell China they cannot silence us. And let's be, every day, every minute of our life, be voice for the voiceless Tibetans back home in Tibet. Thank you.
Nghe Lobga Rangzen là thôi đi chơi dân suy ấy, rồi ba, nghe thôi đi chơi suy ấy, thằng anh tôi chơi nó mình tu, khó ra là thôi đi chơi suy ấy ra thông mà đi là. Đàn nghe đi chơi là dân số tụi mình kì, khai phá là dân số, nông dân là dân số sẽ cho nó tụi khai phá là. Ô nghe đi đã tới, rồi, ta không kì, cha lên nam bà ta kinh kì, bây giờ là lại ra đi, ngã na đi cái xe thôi ya đi mình tu, xe thôi ya đi mình tu, yên nào nghe bây giờ là dân số chế thông tu, rồi, ta chú tu cái장 áp chân áp quân này trên này cơ. Bây giờ khá chơi cái thứ xuân rồi xuống tăng tháp rồi, đi ngã cho xin của rồi, chứ đấy, như vậy thì nó, chẳng biết thế nào mà những cái này mình đã khá chơi chỉ phi tháp rồi, như tu giết rồi đó, sao mà rồi mà rồi, ngã cho Jesse có mà là, Jay yo mà đó. Như vậy thì về nano của mặt mà tôi tin chỗ nano là cái này mình đã tôi nhìn một sống trong sao ta tăng ta cha amar cái nano là cái này mình đã hình như lấy用过đi ngã chỗ phép là chân số rồi ta phép là gì là khỏi cái sống đó saya me ba, koya me ba. Dende tawa ni mes. Pega den hang ke chi di se ne. Nga to lo jesu lang ba. Ko lo tele mes je ko lo nu ba da. Di ja chi ko ro ya ke me ba. Yo ba ti ke kar re. Ko ra lo um ba de 고래가 쳐서더래. 쳐서더는 가동은 배면사야 뜨기치도 뒤버다. 네가 또 제고 말아 제베나 라 가사 말아. 네 수야 찍디. 수야 니바디. 자 아메리카 나노라. 네 데니가 미시가 뉴욕다 뉴저지 주니. lambeकुई लोगा रांधी की खोरे के बैग ज्यादा से खी हो जिचे नोट जांचो की गोंडा जी सुया दी बैग देता मासे बात में दिनी के केबे छे गोदास ना में शाया मेदा से के ना तो लो पाव के पातार हने सा दि ना में जया मारेस ना तो कनाडा नालो ले नाला दी के ड्यूटी से लॉजिक नो ले उरे नि के ड्यूटी सों गोबाद 초바치 두개가 하족은 내가 제보를 했어. 니슈야이. 와, 다 나토 가래. 나토 카니가 배바스 이제 대비는 용구만 도와. 근데 이제 고래가 레와 주반 안식 도타 쩌들을 드니까 자사자 그거 레와 제보지다. 레와 자사 요부지 लेखा चीज़ का चीज़ चेपर खीग, तंदी ऐसा बैक दिल ते बैक नाचो के चुसे को लेता माथो नोला, नाचो खीगी सोबा नांशी के, बैबे नालो नं थेंड्रो, ओया बैबे के थाते नाबिया नाचो जेरोंगु मारे, मजेरो चीज़ निते टेसु इदा, तंदी ऐसा तामाशी ना मंबुशरा जी शे थोग मंदूर वा तने सा ने लानी थे में जाने का जते मासु दिल ने का तना जला काला सांजी चा उबे का तापा रशे ने का सन दिल योयो पार ये नो आते साने शुने का जते से का खामा को बाद में शोके खोजो चे गोरो गोंदा छति जिबा खाला शुनी के देनी का ने का तना केंबे चे आए अने नोशो नारो नास वा तांगा तो 대면은 나도 가테지 대면자는 붙지 로칭이든 나도 그 맞아봐지 장아도 랭귀지 빼고도다 단다 네 캐슬라 수비 나도 단다 너만 내체다 자두도 다 당아도 랭귀 빼비는 나도는 되는 가서는 나도 빠운데 레소나니 마태가 저런 거다 장게 쳐보죠 단다는 그 세와 초촌 되는 수대요로 근데 여자 참매기 너다 쭈들을 드니까 저도 나매 버체 때도 매매 버체 라 산이 매 버체 참매기 당원에 그 나서게 하는 가서는 다 텔레 하지 나서는 로소 자니다 제송문이지 저네 매 버체를 나서 주된 뒤고라 나서 배바를 제송하니 제주도 저는 공사 장기 제보죠 전주 종주 오야 진짜 유튜브칼로 오늘 주는 거 배면 되지 야지 라모요 진짜 가사 칼을 라니 태무자니 그 쇼핑이 그 나도 되게 레디요 배나로 그 저서를 땅니 그 나도 되게 진짜 니를 레요 근데 사 나야만 잡아 제제 가디 예나라 소바치 두가 그 가디 랭귀지 빼베나 참에 그 넘서 제로나스 땡이 그 참말라 드레소이다 드레소 백구점이 머르거리는 게요봐 게요바다 하코부장 차팔라 소소냐를 밥에요바 하코부지 거다 참에 그 어떤이 있어 당이 마부지 시험만 고고는 아주 맞추니 깨매다 배갈로
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 배랑대갈로
배랑대갈로
배랑대갈로 야와떼제 자도 끝을 털어 대마쇼
어딘지가 그때 킬로 템퍼쇼 그때 킬로 템퍼쇼
야미 배는 판고고요
नमर बहने भाग्युषे नमर बहने भाग्युषे
배는 판고고요
भाग्युषे
안에 겜베 뒤체로체
Pawo langin thapane thuje chena